Well, good morning, everyone. Now, have you ever taken a photograph? I mean, I don't want to brag, but I have taken a lot of photographs over the years. But I guess that's kind of normal, isn't it? It's probably hard for any of us to think of anyone we know who's never taken a photograph. And nowadays, so many people have these smartphones that have these super deluxe high quality cameras. We probably take more photos now than we ever have before. But why? Why do we take photographs? Is it just because the smartphone makes it easy, or is there something more to it than that? Well, in the gospel that we just heard, Peter gives us a little glimpse into why we take photographs. Now, every year, on the second Sunday of Lent, we hear this same gospel story, the Transfiguration, when Jesus goes up the mountain with Peter, James, and John, and he's transfigured right in front of them. Now, his face becomes shining, his clothes are dazzling white, and I don't know if it's irreverent for me to think of the transfigured Lord as shiny Jesus, but that's the image that comes to mind when I hear this story. But you know, there is so much more to the Transfiguration than shiny Jesus. I mean, his change in appearance is just the beginning of the story. Soon we see Moses and Elijah, they're speaking with him, having a conversation. And if that's not enough, then God himself speaks to Peter, James, and John. They hear his voice audibly. This is my chosen son. Listen to him. Now, I don't know about you, but if I was there on that mountain with Peter, James, and John, witnessing these things, if I saw Jesus transfigured right in front of me, if I heard and saw Moses and Elijah conversing with him, if I heard the voice of God speaking to me directly, I would be dumbfounded. I would want to freeze that moment in time. But what about Peter, James, and John? Do you think they might have been dumbfounded? Yeah, I think they were. Do you think they might have wanted to freeze that moment in time? Yes, of course they did. That's why Peter came up with that great idea. Hey, let's build 3 tents. If they build the 3 tents, then Moses and Jesus and Elijah can stay there forever on the top of the mountain. They freeze that moment in time. And it's only natural. It's only natural to want to freeze an awesome moment in time. I mean, think about the watershed moments in your own life. Maybe your wedding day, maybe the birth of a child or a nephew or niece or a sibling, maybe just meeting a new friend. Have you ever wanted to freeze that moment in time so that no matter how many years go by, it's always a fresh memory? I mean, I have. And I think that's what we need photos for. That's what we use photographs for, right? A photo kind of freezes an image of a moment in time so that we can kind of relive that moment time and time again, every time we look at the photo on far into the future. And we can show that photo to friends and loved ones, and in a way we sort of share that moment in time with people who were not even there for it. But Peter could not take a photograph. The best he could do is build 3 tents. And in a way, I think that Peter really wasn't interested in sharing that moment with others the way we do with photographs. Because those 3 tents couldn't be shared with anyone who wasn't already there. I mean, yeah, they would preserve that moment for the 6 of them who were there up on the mountain, but that's it. And then even when afterwards, Peter and the boys, they kept silent about this. They didn't tell anybody at first. It's almost as if they wanted to keep the transfiguration to themselves. Peter and the boys, they didn't just want to freeze the moment in time. They wanted to stay on the mountain. But when God speaks to you, it's hard to ignore him. And God did speak to them. And he said, "This is my chosen son. Listen to him." And that's what they did. They really listened to Jesus. And here's the thing about listening to Jesus. You can't listen to Jesus and not be changed and not be moved. You cannot listen to Jesus and stay on the mountain. You have to come down and tell others about him. And that's what they did. And they did that so effectively that eventually they built the church. But God says the same thing to us today. "This is my beloved son. Listen to him." And like Peter, James, and John, we cannot listen to Jesus and not be changed and not be moved. We cannot listen to Jesus and stay up on the mountain and keep him to ourselves. We have to come down the mountain and tell others about him. We have to share the good news of Jesus with our words and with our deeds. But chances are, most of the people whom we encounter in any given day have already heard about Jesus in one way or another. But many of them have not responded to Jesus. Some of them have even turned away from Jesus, or at least don't have a relationship with him. Some of them may even think that a person who does have a relationship with Jesus and goes to church every Sunday is weird. But when they see that you love Jesus and you are a normal person, that is attractive. And that might be just enough for them to take another look, to take a closer look and begin a relationship with Jesus. And you can accompany them on that journey. And what an awesome journey it is. And so this morning, when we come together as a community of faith to listen to Jesus and to be nourished by the precious body and blood of our Lord, let's resolve to come down off the mountain and share the good news of Jesus Christ with others. Let's resolve to tell others why we're a Christian. What does it mean to have a relationship with Jesus? Let's resolve to live our lives in such a way that's attractive that Christianity is attractive to even the most committed skeptics.